Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me once again for Get Your Money Right with Yvonne. I'm Yvonne. How's it going? And if you are looking for the spot to talk about saving for retirement, you are indeed in the correct place. We thank you. Glad to have you. So let's see. As we always want to start these, I want to ask you, how are you doing? How are you faring? How's the day, the week, the month going for you? We're winding down to the end of 2025 and it's busy. It's the holiday season and just wondering if you're okay. Because, with everything being busy, sometimes we forget to reach out to others, friends, families, somebody at work, just anybody. You just want to pay attention to people. And just if there's anything you could do to help, do it. Sometimes just a nice word or just looking at someone and paying attention is what they need. And we're all in this life together, right? So we just want to look out for each other. And I always want to start these by just asking you how you're doing. Because this is a caring community. And, for those of you who aren't a part of it yet, we would love to have you, but we'll talk about it later. Just enjoy this session and see what you think. So, how am I doing? Well, no complaints, just one foot in front of the other. I'm knocking down my student loans. So I've always been paying. Let's be clear about that. But I had to increase those payments to pay down principal. Before it was just interest. My payment was only covering the interest. Now I'm touching the principal. So since the middle of the year, what am I down? About $8,000 so far. So I'm so grateful for that because more of the principal that I knock down, the quicker it all gets paid off. And I'm just really working hard to get to that point. At the same time, I'm putting away money for retirement. So imagine that there is that balance, and I am walking a tightrope, but doing okay. So very, very grateful for that. So let's see. During our last session, well, I guess maybe the last two, I've mentioned this. And so just a reminder, I was just thinking one day that if folks have earned at least $50,000 for 20 years, right? We always say something, oh, I wish I had $1 million. And it sparked in me one day, wait, if I made 50,000 for 20 years, I made $1 million. Okay. But the question is, how much did I save for me? And many of us, we think eyes get big because you're thinking about, wait, I've earned $1 million. How much of it did I keep for me? And unfortunately, many of us look at it and go, oh man, I saved next to nothing for me. And it's a different mindset, this whole business of saving for our retirement. And it's just something you have to think of. And it doesn't matter when you're starting on this journey. It's best if you start when you're younger because you have more time to save and just take care of yourself. So the younger you are, the better, but just it doesn't matter how old you are, how many years you've waited before you start to put money away for retirement. The main thing is getting started, right? So that's the whole thing right there. Get started, no matter where you are, no matter what, just get started. And after our last show, when I was talking about saving for retirement and having earned the $1 million already, you earned it and you spent it rather than saving some of it for you. So one of my viewers, and I love this, thank you guys so much for listening to what I have to say and then asking questions because this question came up that I'm so grateful for. So somebody said, hey, they had been working, I can't remember for how many years. And they said, well, if I had saved 5%, because that's what we were talking about. Because people always say, well, how much do I need to save? Well, that's going to be different for everybody. But if you start at the very least at 5%, because you are saving money, and if you've gone to your employer and to see if they offer a match, some sort of a match, 5% is usually enough to get you to the point where your employer will match your contributions. So the person said, if I had saved that 5% you're talking about over the last 20 years, I'd only have $50,000. Well, how am I going to retire on that? That was such an excellent question. Thank you. Okay, let's go to this book for a second, because remember, Money Matters for Teens workbook. And don't even worry about the kids' books. I don't care. I ordered a bunch of them one day because I'm like, what are we teaching children? I missed all these money talks, money discussions when I was young. And it's just so nice to know now there's stuff for the kids where they can do it alone or in school, or mom and dad or aunt and uncle can help out too. And this was so helpful because I went into the page. We were just checking out savings information. Okay. Just some lessons for the kids, which are good. And so I was just kind of looking. And one of the things in that question from someone is, I only have 50,000. Oh, wait a second. There's two very important words that you missed in that lesson. And they are compound interest. And you understand the significance of that? We've talked about it. I'm going to go through it because, folks forget things. That's why I do these. And sometimes I'll touch on similar themes, because if you say things in a different way, people pick things up. And that's what I've learned as an educator, an adult educator, because I've never been trained as a teacher per se. But I've been in training for a number of years. And sometimes if you say something a little bit differently, people understand it. So compound interest. So that $50,000 that we were talking about, right? What I did was, I went into my retirement account and just wondered, over the 20 years that I've had the account, what's the average interest that I've earned over those years? And right now it's showing it at 11%. Okay, that's I don't know if it's typical or not, but that's what I've looked at over the 20 years. So then I took the $50,000 that had somebody been making those contributions over 20 years. What could they expect to have? So what I did was I broke that $50,000 down, and I said, how much if I were contributing every 2 weeks? Okay, so it came to like about $104, I think it was, 2 times a month going into an account. And what I did was I said at 9%. Oh, let me stop myself, because where did I go? You can do something as simple as put it Google. I want to contribute $104 twice a month. How much would I have if it was earning 9% for 20 years? It's not $50,000. It was over $139,000. So if you put that modest amount away for those 20 years that we've been talking about, that's what you can expect after 20 years of saving for your retirement. That's way better than that 50,000, right? And is it enough? Well, you could save more, but like I said, whatever the amount is more than you had when you started, right? So it doesn't matter. Wherever you're starting from, just start today. So I'm looking at that, and $139,000 is pretty decent. Could you do better? Sure. If you put more in, yeah, absolutely. But again, don't beat yourself up because you don't have quite enough to retire on. Just keep churning, keep at it. I told you last time I showed you my change jar, which now is over $50. And don't laugh, because I've had family and friends laugh at me talking about my change jar. But something in the back of my head told me there is a reason why I put this money away religiously. Whenever I go shopping, pay cash, here's my change. It could be as little as 2 cents. I don't care. It all adds up. And that is my retirement account. That's how I'm looking at it, that exact same way. It's all about consistency. It's all about just making sure that you do the work to make sure it gets done. And one day I will be able to retire and have the money that I need to have the life that I want to live. That's what it's all about. That's what all of this is about, right? And the book, The Millionaire Next Door, people who lived modestly, but they were putting money away. That's what I'm hoping for myself. That's what I'm hoping for all of you, that you just get started. That it's super important that we do that, right? And in the kids book, there were 4 things, okay? Make money so you don't need to borrow to meet your needs or the needs of anybody else. Okay, one important thing. And avoid spending money on things that go down in value. I'll let you just kind of think about that. Because there are times I've wanted to buy something and I go, what value does it bring to my life? And sometimes it takes me a while to buy that thing because I'm doing the work thinking, is this a good investment? Many times, no. See, I invest in experiences. Like this month, it's the holiday season. I had a holiday party with some friends a week or so ago. And, I bought a lot of food to do it. I made a lot of food. It didn't cost me a whole lot. But because I paid attention to what I needed to do. Then I went to coffee yesterday with one of my very dear friends, and we exchanged some modest gifts. That is so much fun. So I invest in experiences, time with family, time with friends. That's the kind of stuff. Now, do I buy silly things occasionally? Sure. We all work hard, but make sure you have the money to do it, that you are not borrowing to have those experiences, that you're putting money away. And we'll talk about our savings plan here in a minute. So avoid spending on things on money that go down in value. Yep, talked about that. Don't borrow money to pay for things that go down in value. So when we bought our most recent car, we put money aside for it. Now, the minute you drive a car off the lot, you've heard this before, it goes down in value. And so, no, we weren't going to borrow to be able to do that because it's going down in values. That's just the nature of vehicles. So we paid cash we saved up, then paid cash for it, and just, things for you to think about. And then, this is what we're telling kids in this book, make regular deposits to your savings. So a couple of things. So when you get your paycheck, assuming by now, I'm hopeful you've gone to your employer and you set up your retirement fund. So you're putting that money on a regular basis, right? Regular basis. And you're not treating that as an emergency savings because your retirement fund is not an emergency savings. It is not. That is meant to essentially buy your way out of the 9-to-5 rat race, right? You've put aside enough money, and we've talked about this before. Plan on that money lasting you until you are 100 years old. Now, I know you gasped when I said that, right? But with our lifespans getting longer, you got to plan on money lasting. Okay, so people say, well, what if I retire at 55? Well, then you better have 45 years worth of savings, plus being able to support yourself when it comes to medical insurance, because Medicare doesn't hit till you're 65. So you got 10 years to have to come up with that money. So it is something to think about. So, just whatever you do, that money's got to last until you're 100. But what does your life look like? That whether or not you can do that, I don't know. Maybe you can share with this community. We can discuss it, talk about it. That would be great. Whatever works for you, because this is all about you. And then the other thing we're going to talk about is savings. Because when you get that paycheck, you've already got the at least 5% coming out of your paycheck to fund your retirement. That's at the very least. And the other thing you want to take care of, remember that blank sheet of paper we were talking about? The very top line has what you're bringing in a month. That's where you're starting from, right? The next line, because you are as important as your creditors, okay? You need to put down money for you. Pay yourself first. So in that, what I look at is I've got money for different savings accounts, okay? So I have a savings account that puts money away in case I owe money toward my taxes, my income taxes. That changed, I think it was in 2018, once the new administration took over, that things I used to be able to write off, I no longer could. And so I had a nasty surprise. It was almost $2,000 that I owed in income taxes, and I had to scramble to come up with that. So now I just make sure I have that money put aside for taxes. That is one savings. Then I have an account set away for emergencies. Okay, emergency is not, I want to go buy something. No, that's really not an emergency. An emergency, your furnace goes out, your air conditioner goes out, your car breaks down. You got one car in the house. You need a working car if you don't have access to public transportation. So those are the types of things that your emergency fund is good for. Then I put aside money for things I might want to do. So in 2026, we're planning a family cruise, and I have money set aside for that because, I will put it on my credit card to secure the our registration, right? But after that, I'm paying it off because I put it on the card. Then I get my credits, right? That whether it be cash or points, whatever it happens to be for you, you are taking care of that. Then I turn right around and pay that money off because you don't want things on your credit card that go down in value, and you have to take care of yourself. So then after that, I have all of my expenses, and just make sure that at the end of that, you haven't gone in the red. If you have, don't go to the line that pay yourself first. Don't start deducting from that. No, look at ways you can cut expenses on everything else. And for the most part, it can be done because I told you about my insurance spiking, and I go, no, I can't afford that anymore. And by changing insurance companies, I got $1,000. So we can do all these different things to ensure our future. It's going to take looking at your list on a regular basis. I do that. I do. And sometimes I have to make adjustments. That's okay. That's what you do. You just have to stay on top of your money. Okay? And with that, we like to try to keep these around 15 minutes. It looks like I'm going just a little bit long today, but I'm just about to wrap it up. So at the very beginning, I mentioned if you like these and want to become a part of this community, we would love to have you. So where it says subscribe, follow that, click it, and subscribe to this. And keep in mind, this is free. I do this because I never had this opportunity as a younger person. And everybody who talks about money management is a multimillionaire that I've seen. There could be others, obviously, but there are just things I could not connect with. And so this is a good opportunity, I think, to share things that I've learned along the way, and I want to hear from you. And we're just doing that. We are just mid-level people. Some of us make less than $100,000. Others of us make more than 100, but we find value in this information. It is completely free. So when I produce these, I will upload them to my page. You can have them free. You can share them with others that you think might get some good information off of this, and that would just be great. We would love to have you. So again, completely and totally free. I will never charge for this content. All right. So we're going to wrap this up now. Thank you for joining me once again for Get Your Money Right with Yvonne. I'm Yvonne. Okay, everybody, be good to yourselves and be good to each other. Okay. You take care. Bye-bye.